the AVCO and the FIFO methods. Our work example prepared and presented by Mr. James, and this is the problem that Moses sent to me. Okay, right, we have it here. We are given the units in process at the beginning, at the period, no dates are given. Stage of completion is 30%. The cost of these 30,000 that has gone into 30,000 already is materials 12, labor 5,4, and overhead costs 8,100, giving you a total cost in process of 25,500. Now the next month the units started into production during the month is 270,000. So you have 30 coming forward from the beginning, at the beginning of the month, and they have another 270,000 being started in the month. Also, during the month, the units completed and transferred out is 255,000, and the costs added during the period is material costs of 500. Sorry, that's 94,500. All right, and the labor cost is 132,000. The work in process ending is 40%. Now, it does not tell us how many units, physical units, are in the working process here. All right. And we want to look at the weighted average method and the FIFO method. It's better to do the FIFO method first. Some of the figures you would use in the AVCO method, but the other way around, you wouldn't. Okay. So we'll do the FIFO first. Right. The FIFO method. The first thing you should always do when you approaching a problem like this is to account for the units, and so the units to account for, and the physical units are the beginning working process of 30,000 here, and what you started into production during the month of is 270,000, that this year. Okay, giving you a total of 300,000 units you have to account for. Right. Next, you account for the units. Okay, the beginning, when you're using FIFO, you have to account for them in order. The beginning working process, 30,000. You started and completed in the period. Okay, notice they must fulfill these two criteria. They must be started and completed in the period. Right? I took the 255 here that was completed and transferred out, but included in the 255 would have been the 30,000 from up here from the beginning working process, right? That's these here. So I minus them out to avoid double counting, and you'll get 225,000 units started and in this period and completed also in this period. Okay, we put in the total down here of 300,000 from here that we have to account for, and the ending working process will turn out to be 45,000 units as a balancing figure there. Okay. Next, we calculate the equivalent units. Okay, we could use the same thing here. We bring them there as the physical units. We have accounted for them. We can use them here. The beginning working process, now this is something we have to know. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to work these problems. The FIFO method especially. That FIFO method takes into consideration only the work that is done during the period. All right. So the 30% that is done on this here in the previous period is not taken into consideration. Okay. What you do is you take into consideration the 70% that will be completed in your period. So 70% of the 30,000 will give you 21,000 equivalent units. Okay. Started and completed in the period. You don't have a problem there. That the entire thing was done in the period. Okay. Whereas here only 70% was done in our period. So this will go in 100%, 225,000. And the ending working process of 45,000 units, we are told that it is 40% complete. Okay. So we take the 40% of that gives us 80,000. Right? When we add them up, we'll get 264,000 equivalent units. Okay. Next, we move to the course. In just as we only include works done during the period, and we exclude those from other periods. So too with the course, only the cost for the period, that would be this year, this 94,500, and this 132,000 here would be considered. This 25,500 from the opening working process will not be considered because that's from another period. Okay, so the FIFO cost would be from this 0. We take the 94,500 because that's from our period, and the 132,000 from our period. We add them together, we'll get the total FIFO cost. Okay, now the problem divides up the cost into material and labor here, right? But it does not divide the equivalent units into materials and labor and overheads. Okay, so you can only find the cost per equivalent unit for the total. Okay, right? So we take this total FIFO and we divide it by the equivalent units here. Right? The FIFO cost 226,500 divided by 264,000 units would give us the 86 cents a unit. Okay, and that you can apply to the closing stock 45,000 to find out how much is the cost of that, and you can also apply it to the 255,000 that was transferred and complete out to find out the cost of that. And they should when you add the two of them together, they should come back up to the 226,550. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the AVCO method. All right, the working process. All right, the figures are the same. The treatment of it is different. So first we have the AVCO method. All right, again, we account for the units and them. I said anytime you work in a problem like this, account for the units. It will just take you a few minutes. If you can't account for these units, you wouldn't be able to go into the method and calculate equivalent units. All right. The units accounted for, the physical units completed and transferred out, 255. And you have the total from here is brought over here, and the balancing figure would be 45. Incidentally, um, that's the ending working process. It should equal the same amount as in the FIFO method. So there's no discrepancy in that. Okay. We go to the physical units, convert them to equivalent units. The beginning, I kept this format here from the last one to show you, right? What happens is you lump these two together into the 255 here. Okay, I could have put the 255 here, but I want to show you the difference between the AVCO and the FIFO method, right? Notice both of these are 100% because this opening working process at the beginning of the period would have been completed sometime during the period and included in this 255 here that was completed and transferred out, right? So if you minus it out here and then add the 225, you're not going to be any different from just lumping these two together, right? Because the formula is for this is the total cost of the 30,000 as well as the 225,000. All right. So the total cost, regardless of which period it comes from. Okay. The difference between the ending working process and the opening working process is you do not know yet how much it would cost in the next period. All you know is the 40% from this period at that point in time. So it's a matter of timeliness. Okay. So we multiply the ending working process by 40%. We add all of them together and we get 273, right? Notice we had gotten 264 in the FIFO method, right? And this is the figure we're going to use to calculate our cost per unit, right? We look at the AVCO cost now. First, we include the amount from the previous period, right? And then we take the cost for this period, 94 and 132. We get total cost of 251,000. And then we divide that by, I don't think it's same thing here, right? I think there's an error here. This is a typo. That's supposed to be 91 there. Okay. Okay. So this should be, I think, 91 cents. It's supposed to get a bigger figure. because they have more course. Okay. All right. So what I'll do, I'll just that would bring us to the end of the presentation. Um, I'll go over the AVCO method three. Remember, this should be 91 cents. It should not work out back to the same thing. Okay. All right. Let me just change that there. Okay. I'll go back to the right. Let's take a look at the FIFO method again. This is the one that people get a lot of trouble with. FIFO. Again, we account for the physical units, and we take the opening stock of 30,000, and we started into production during the month 270,000. So those are the two that we have to account for, and equal 300,000. And we account for them here. We start with the 30 out of the 255 here. We have 30 coming from open stock. These would have been completed sometime during the year or during the month rather and transferred out here to cooking. Okay, so we take that out because you don't want to double count and we get 225, right? But this is a thing you need to understand that you are only taking into consideration the amount of work done during the period for FIFO, right? So what you want is the started and completed during the period. And we add that to the open stock. We bring the 300,000 over across here, and the balancing figure of 45 is the closing stock. Okay, so you have accounted for all of the units here using FIFO. Okay, and we look at the equivalent units now. How are we going to convert these physical units here into these are where the percentages comes into consideration. Okay. Okay. Now one of the areas or rather the area that this FIFO differs from the AVCO method is in the treatment of the opening stock that comes from the previous period. Notice it was 30% complete at the beginning of the period, so it means 70% would have been completed during our period, and that is what you're interested in. Started and completed in the period, right? So only 70% of it, and 70% of 30 will give you 21,000 units. Those that were started and completed during the period, the emphasis is on both words. They have to be started as well as completed during the period to be included in this 225 here. Take the 255 that was completed and transferred out during the period, and we minus the 30 that we have up here already. These would have been completed sometime during the period, right? And we get that 225,000, and those would be 100% complete. So they are whole units, and we bring it across here. And then working process of 45,000, as we calculated here, and that is 40% complete, 18,000. We add it up, we get 264,000, and this is not divided up into uh, materials, labor, and overhead. They could do that, as well as they could ask you to divide it up into materials and conversion costs. Conversion cost is the labor and the overhead lumped together. Okay. Next, we look at the costs. The FIFO costs zero from here because we only including the work done in our period and the costs incurred in our period. Okay. So we take the 94.5 and the 132,000 for the materials and the labor. We add them up, we'll get the total FIFO costs. Okay. And we divide that by 26,500 divided by 264,000 gives us 86 cents per unit. Okay. Take a look at the AVCO, right? We have the same information here. AVCO method, the units to account for, same as in the FIFO method, 300,000. The units accounted for, completed and transferred out, 255,000. And we bring across the 300,000 again as here, and we will get the closing working process of as 45,000. Okay, now we need to do that here because we are not given the amount of physical units that are 40% complete here for the working process. So we need to calculate it. Uh, when it is given, you just add it on and it should add back to this total here, right? Okay. The equivalent units, like I said, I left it the physical units same as the FIFO, so you could see the difference. But you could add these two and get the 255,000, and they would be at 100% and get 255,000 here, right? And have ending working process of 40% of 45,000 be 18,000. When you add 255 and the 18, you'll still get your 273. Okay, so we add it down and we get 273,000 equivalent units. And we turn our attention to the AVCO costs. This time we include the cost of the open working process. Okay, and we include all the work. We're looking at total costs of producing the units, right? That's what an average is. You take the total cost and you divide it by the number of units. Okay, so the total cost will be 251,000, and the cost per equivalent unit would be 251,000 divided by your 273,000 equivalent units from here. Okay, 251,000 here. We get 91 cents per unit. Okay, That brings us to the end of the presentation. Right? I believe you are unmuted. If you have any questions,
Now, so no questions.
no questions. You understand everything there or none? You understand the important part of it is the working process, right? For the AVCO, you're lumping them together, right?
I didn't get the first time when I went to buy. I understand the five for anything.
Right.
I'll go
Yeah.
check over the apps, but I didn't understand start.
Okay. All right. So the difference is in how you treat the open working process, right? For FIFO, you don't want to get anything from the previous period in. All you want is the work done in your period, right? Average, it takes in lumping everything together to get the total cost, right? Once you can remember that, you're good to go in the thing. The others is just a matter of applying the percentage. Okay, but I haven't seen any problems come with FIFO in an exam. I couldn't find one when I was looking for it to do. I found one eventually um, on the paper three. Those short questions that they ask for the alternative to the SBAs. And I did working on it and I put it in the classroom, I think, and there's also a video of it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to look at that again to reinforce this, okay. But in this is one of the things that come for process costing. Uh, the costing of the product using the AVCO, especially. So be prepared for AVCO, but you should know FIFO well enough in case it come in the exam, right? The other two costing system you have is job costing, ABC costing, and then you have the traditional marginal costing and absorption costing statements. Okay, once you know those six items, you're good to go for module two. Most of the students could get 35 marks full year. Okay, all right. So if there's any other topic you want me to go over, just right. Moses was asking about the capital expenditure appraisal. If you want me to go over that, I'll do a past paper problem in it, and we'll look at it probably tomorrow or sometime next week, right? Next week is supposed to be the last teaching week, but if you all want to go into the uh, thing, they say into the rest of the term, you'll let me know, or you'll prepare some review questions and so on, and we'll go through them, short stuff. And they insist that we're going to have our exam, right? Uh, you all want to do the exam down in school? We could do that. They already have everything printed already from the exam that was supposed to take place last year and didn't get done, right? I could run that off.
So you give you last day exam.
Yeah, yeah, just come in and you sit down and you write the exam, and but they want you to do exam. They're not really considering that we're working online, and it's very difficult to do a accounts exam online, right? But I will do my own thing. I just need to submit the paper to them. You just let me know whether you want to do it online or you want to come down in school there and do it, so that you know.
Yeah, it's up to what the rest of fellas think. If anything.
Okay. Or what I was telling them that if they have anything, if they want to have it in school, that students are going to turn out. I don't see them Form 5 coming down there to write any mock exam, right? I will try to give them something online. Could do the same thing with you all, right? Unless you want to get a real test to see how you perform. That's what I mean, you know. But I'm sure when we had to come out 2 weeks ago, um, less than half of the Form 5 showed up. So I don't see them coming to write exam. And okay, um, so it wouldn't be a problem if you decide to go there, but we could also go online, right? Anybody have any other questions? You receive your timetable. I think I sent timetable to you all with the new instructions from Keep, right? Anybody didn't get it?
I get it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Right. So we good with that, right? Exams could be sometime in between June and July. And they also push back the IE by a month, right? So you have more time. I don't think I will do doing it this term again anyway, right? I'll give you enough time. Make sure you assimilate the material, and we will begin to do it at the beginning of next term. Okay, so
Alright.
prepare for the module one test first week in the next term. That's a very short term. I think it's about 9 weeks or 10 weeks. All right. So if you don't have any more questions, I will end the meeting there. Okay. Good morning, gentlemen. Remember, check your channel, your YouTube channel, because what is happening is my Google Drive is because those files are the PowerPoint presentations and the other files are very huge files, and it fill up my Google Drive already. So I'm resorting to I will have to take some things down. I'll do that from the Form 4s mostly, and the old classrooms and them. But in the meantime, you can look for the videos and them over in the YouTube channel. All right? I've got a lot of good stuff that I put up there that will help you to quickly review your work. Okay? So good morning, gentlemen.